Hey, what is going on, everyone? It's me, Mr. Mario, and welcome back to another episode of Mario's Minute. For those who do not know, this is a second podcast I do. My main podcast, Mod Chat, is a little more structured, a little bit more edited and such, and goes over things that I find interesting, new, cool, that I might want to discuss, share with you, and just, maybe even promote, help out a little bit with in terms of developments in the world of video game modding and video game console modding. However, this is not that. This here is Mario's Minute, where I come on here and I talk to you all about really whatever the hell I want to. Sometimes I have a guest on, sometimes I don't, but it is available in two different forms. First of all, it is available in a video visual form here on the Mr. Mario 2011 YouTube, Rumble, and Odyssey channels. It's also available as a audio-only format, so you can take it around and listen to it wherever the hell you want to, like an actual podcast. Simply look up Mario's Minute on your favorite podcasting app, host, provider, or platform, and you should hopefully be able to find it. I know it's not available on all of them, but it is available on most of them. Either way, as I said, this is where I come on. I talk to you all once a month, just really about whatever the hell I want to. Sometimes I have a guest, sometimes I don't, and I do try and cycle out just every other month, have a guest and a solo episode, and kind of just alternate like that. This year, my apologies, I haven't really been as consistent with the guest episodes. However, this time around, I was able to get a guest on for the September 2024 episode, who is also a return guest to the show here. So, as I always ask to my guest here, who the hell are you?
Hello. I am Jason from GameRave.com, now currently known as PlayStationLibrary.com, and I talk about all things PlayStation and variants.
That's wonderful. And Jason, how are you doing today?
Doing good. I'm actually just sitting in the game room, looking out the window, watching the rainfall, talking to you.
Oh, fun. That
Good
works
to be
out.
back.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, no, it's good to have you back as well too. And yeah, we've had a fair share of rainfall. Yesterday, I kind of got trapped in the middle of a storm while I was dog walking, so that was not so fun.
I can hear that.
Yeah, no, it was very much a thing where I'm like, yeah, let me just like wait it out, and then it was kind of getting worse and worse and worse. I was like, well, I got to get back home. So by the time I got back home, it's kind of like my clothes were like a second or third layer of skin.
Yeah, I went for a walk this morning and I was like, oh, it's fine. It's just drizzling. And I didn't realize the sweatshirt I was wearing wasn't like, rainproof. And
Oh, okay.
I got 10 minutes out. I was like, I'm an idiot. I turned right back around and it was just like, oh God, it's terrible.
Sometimes that happens, but at least you're able to get out of it. Well, eventually, and then get dried off and stuff. So
Yeah.
that's always how it goes. Yeah. But yeah, anyways, I mean, how's everything overall been going with you? It's been about a couple years or so. I know the last time you were on, you were not married, so you've acquired a wife you've leveled up to, I guess, husband status and got a wife. Congratulations.
Yeah, she finally got me. Finally said yes. And the fact that it's been years already terrifies me because I didn't have a time frame from the last time we talked was. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Just a little courthouse pizza party afterwards. But what was so funny in typical Jason fashion, you know how like normally when you're watching a wedding procedure, the officiating person will like give you chunks of like data to repeat. So it's like do you take this person, blah blah blah, and then you
Yes.
repeat that. So our officiating judge started off by just saying a name, and it was my wife's name, and I was like, oh, she gets to go first. And there was 10 seconds of silence, and you just see the look on her face, and she just hits me upside the shoulder. And I was like, oh, whoa, Rebecca, what's up? So that's a pretty funny moment in the procedures. But
That's
yeah, it was
that's
pretty funny.
that's cute. That's cute. And then you were able to. I mean, so you just got like a late start on it, but then you were able to get through the rest of it, right?
Yeah, it was pretty interesting too. We were at the courthouse and we both dressed up. Like she was in full wedding dress, I was in full tux and everything.
Hmm.
But what made it weird is the weddings take place after all the normal court proceedings happen. So literally
Yes.
the only people in the building are the couples and the like police officers and judges. When we got married, it was the middle of winter. So like we're like in like even her wedding dress, she's like in a big winter jacket, stuff like that. And we're coming in, and before I could say where are we supposed to go, they just looked at me and said, "You're upstairs, this area, blah blah blah." So we get upstairs, and there's six other couples, and four of them are like casually dressed up, and the 6 are like they're going to the mall dressed.
Okay.
And we were like, oh, okay, so we could be overdressed, but that's okay. That's us. And it was both funny and adorable. The one mall couple came in, they went and they came out, and it seemed like whatever they did, I'm assuming they got married. Like it was like neither cared. Like it was just a really weird situation. And then we found out two of the other four couples that were dressed up who were waiting when they were called. The two couples, and then like out of nowhere, like these like 5 kids just came out of nowhere, and they all ran to the courthouse. And we found out the them before us, it was actually a family adoption process. So all those
Oh,
kids finally got a family. Like it was the coolest thing. And then
that's
we walked in, they were like, "Damn, look at you, girl."
and you're like, oh yeah, no, that's my wife, soon to be.
Yeah.
But that's adorable. I love that. That's a good story right there. I'm sure those kids were happy.
Oh, they were running. The courthouse might have well been a McDonald's playground. It was awesome.
That's see, I think more people would be okay with that. In all honesty,
Yeah.
yeah, because like nobody really wants to go there for like. I don't think anybody's usually like excited to go there. You know.
No, yeah. We had to go there first. We had to go there for the wedding certificates and so forth. And so I had to use the washroom, and I excused myself from the paperwork area. And I go in, and there's a gentleman in a wheelchair, and with I didn't realize was his lawyer. His lawyer was trying to help him do whatever he needed to do to like I guess relieve himself, and I wasn't paying too much attention because I didn't want to. But out of nowhere, you just hear this raspy voice just go, "Damn, Lynn, these pants! I can't get nothing out of these pants."
Those are like the type of memories and moments you're like, I would never, like, first of all, I'd never expect to have this, but secondly, on like the day I'm getting married, like at the courthouse, at the venue, would never expect to run into this.
Oh, dude, I'm just hoping that lawyer got his retainer in full, man,
Oh,
because he went
he better
beyond.
have.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not a lawyer at that point. That's just like like your lifestyle coach there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all good. It's been 2 years of wedded bliss, and she's a gamer and I'm a gamer, and we just hijinks together. It's all good.
That's awesome. That's one. I love to hear that. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah,
I will pass it on.
I was also gonna say too, with it, because you said courthouse and all that. Like, in my opinion, that's the way to do it. Because I've even been told like it's not the wedding, it's the marriage itself. And I know one of my it's one of those things I've talked with people, and they don't regret the wedding, but it's kind of a thing they're like, yeah, it's really stressful and it's all to a day and it's really expensive. And then typically the wedding is not for the couple. Like the couple is getting married, but it's really for the family and everyone attending, because like typically the couple, they're just like, yeah, we don't remember anything. We were just going place to place to place doing all this stuff. And then the way we had to remember it was looking on social media and looking at the photos and videos our friends ended up posting. And our friends had a wonderful time, but we were just working that day.
Yeah, I was gonna say the husband and wife are basically the waiter and waitress at your own wedding. Like that's you're
Exactly.
going around a table talking. We were actually at a wedding a long time ago, and if you ever hear me say the phrase "table 9," this is what I'm referring to.
Okay.
So we were at the reception, and it was a really nice reception hall. And the table we were at, we were all classmates of the friend who was getting married.
Yeah.
And one of the classmates, like it's one of those like you're fine by yourself, but the minute there's more of you together, like there's just mischief.
Yes.
We hit it off really really well with our waiter, and they had brought out I think it's called a carafe. It's not a pitcher, but it's like a carafe of wine or whatever. And we finished it, and the one mischief friend just goes, the waiter goes, hey buddy, can we get a second carafe of wine? And he's like, I don't know. And things, a couple minutes pass, and he comes back with another thing of wine. So we're like, well, wait, how far can we push this?
Mm-hmm.
And the TLDR version of the story is a combined $88 later, we went through 10 carafes of wine.
Oh, good job.
We were drunk happy and laughing our tits off, and like by the end of the night we were just like, you never forget table 9 for life.
That's wonderful having those moments like that. I love that. Yeah, I think the honestly the closest I've gotten at a wedding has been one of my best friends getting married, and no alcohol mischief on this, thankfully. But there was one gentleman at the table who was kind of a little quiet and timid, but he really liked the bread because the bread was really good. And we were trying to get more, specifically more of the pita bread, and then you have me who's just like louder, and I was trying to like obtain more pita bread, and I kind of yelled about it a few times, much to like his embarrassment a little bit, and we couldn't get any more. But one of my best friends was also part of the wedding party, so like at one point he ends up coming through with some of his pita. He's like, oh no, you guys can have it, and I'm like, look, we got it. And the guy who loved the pita, he's kind of just, he's on the side, he's appreciative, but he's also kind of just trying to like hide deeper and deeper in his seat as I was bringing more attention to this.
Oh yeah, the introvert met the extrovert and PETA.
Exactly. Which the funny thing is, like, I'm actually naturally a introverted person. It's more just when I'm in the right space with with the right people and such, I will be more social like that. But this gentleman was more introverted than me. But I was like, I get you, but I am gonna poke at this a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, but no, I was bringing up the courthouse thing because one of my best friends with his wedding, what was going on? He ended up saying to his wife, like, they decided, and they've been happily married for years and stuff, but like at the time, they decided, they wanted to have a wedding, and his wife was mostly kind of like pushing for the venue and such, and he was like, look, girl, we don't have to do all this. Like, I just want to be with you. Really, we don't need anything else. It could just be you, me, a witness, and we'll go to the courthouse, knock this out, and I'll be happy. And she's like, no, I want an actual wedding. He's like, okay, fine, you want a wedding. So over a year or so, they're planning everything, they're paying for all this stuff. She was handling most of it, and she was getting stressed out, and it was like maybe 2 or 3 months before they got married. She's finally just at her wit's end and was like, this is so stressful. There's so much going on. We don't even have to do this, honestly. I just want to be with you. Could we just like cancel all this and just go to the courthouse and get a wedding there and just like get married there? And he was like, well, first of all, I brought this up to you at the very beginning and you said no, so I just went along and I said, okay, this is what you want the wedding, but now I have to tell you no, because we have a lot tied into this. We've already sent out the invitations and we can't get most of our money back, so it's kind of too late to cancel this.
Yep. Yeah. I say as soon as you said she started changing her mind, I'm like, ooh, there's thousands not coming back.
Exactly.
Like you're in.
Exactly. Plenty of deposits where you have to put half up front first and you're not getting it back. So they ended up going through with it and they had a good time and stuff, and they've been married for years. So yeah, but kind of just one of those things where it's like I'm just a believer, like, hey, weddings are cool, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to like dissuade anyone from getting one, but I also think like the courthouse move is like fantastic. That's probably my favorite one.
It's so funny. Yeah. I told you.
Exactly. Aside from wedding stuff here, there was one. Well, there's going to be a few gaming things I wanted to talk about with you. One of them being, for someone especially, hey, you have just like a little bit of love for the PlayStation. The PS5 Pro.
Bit.
Yeah, but like the PS5 Pro has been announced, and I was wanted to get your thoughts on this here.
So unfortunately my fanboy side has taken a few years off. This is coming more from a like I have a mortgage boy side. So I think from a product standpoint, I think the anniversary edition is perfect because it was the best squirrel moment Sony could have ever done. Because when the PS5 Pro was first announced, literally everyone's reaction was between or like, what the heck, we don't need this, why is it so expensive, it's $700 freaking.
Yep.
And then literally 24 hours later Sony went, it comes in gray, and everyone's like, oh my god, we need it, holy crap. Now that aside, I am perfectly happy with my PS5. I do not need the anniversary edition, but that said, the retail boxes are goddamn fire. Oh my god, they nailed it. Like if anyone out there is getting a Pro and they want to throw out the box, just send it to me.
Yes.
I will display it proudly. Like other than that, it's just I mean, it's a really really nice recolor. The cable ties are cool. I love the cord, the charging cord that looks like the
Yeah.
actual PS1 cord is
Yes.
phenomenal.
Yeah. I think it's a crime that that is not being sold separately. That is limited. The cord itself.
Yeah, but I'm at the point now where like between what I'm trying to do for PlayStation 1 and mortgage and eventually needing a new car and so forth, there comes a point in your life like and I call it the 3DO event horizon where it's like if the system you want to buy after tax is practically 4 digits, you don't need it. You don't.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's what is it with I feel like you'd probably make an exception because it's not console, but there's probably more of an exception for PCs there because well you can do pretty much everything on them. But I know a lot of
Oh
people.
yeah, like a PC will last you forever. Like
Of
I'm
course.
literally talking to you on a 2010 iMac that's been converted to a Windows 10 machine because Windows 10 made it work better.
That's
So,
weird how that works. But yeah, I believe that.
uh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I've what is it? I've been following the PS5 Pro for a bit, and my thing is, I think for me it's just a bigger aspect of these Pro models because like, look, if you're all these companies, it's known they do model refreshes, they do different motherboard refreshes, they do SKU refreshes, they do all that, and that's understandable. That's fine. I'm totally cool with that. Making a slimmer system like the PS1 Slim, the PS2 Slim, PS3, of course, all those are fine, but with how long generations have been lasting, what we saw last generation with like the spec upgrades with the Xbox One and the PS4, that you can attest to this, man. That's not normal. That is not a thing that was expected in the past. If you wanted a more powerful system, you needed a successor, not like a half generation step on that. So
No, completely. Like I think who was I talking with this? Was it you I was talking about before? In at least in text, where like we are leaving the generation. We are leaving behind the whole like if you just wait out, things will get cheaper, so you can buy it, so like more of the masses can acquire it. And
mhm,
now it's the opposite direction of like where if you wait 4 years, we can charge you $300 more, and you can get slightly better visuals. And
exactly.
it's like no 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 no. Like they're like I that reveal, the PS5 reveal video, I was literally waiting for Mark Cerny to just start blinking torture to the camera because he looked like he was there against his will. And whenever they brought up the actual like side by side comparisons, first sign of trouble, they shrank the actual visual screen whenever they did the comparison. Like
Mm,
you couldn't tell. Like it's like, wow, I can see an extra button on that dude in the background who I'd never look at to begin with. Who
yep.
cares?
Yep.
Like it's just and we were talking about this before we started recording. Like I'm at that age now where like when you have a, and I use this term loosely, fan base who spends their time on socials bitching about puddles that were like no longer in a game, or like who's got the best iris. It's like graphics are done. We don't need to upgrade anymore. Like focus on animation and like the little tweaks. Like so when I'm playing a video game on my $800 console, when that person goes to put their sword away, it doesn't clip through their chest.
Hmm.
Like it's like I love Horizon, but if I see one of if I see her pull something out of her butt one more time, like it's just like that's where we need to go. And I think too many people are, it's almost like we like regressed 30 years back to between when it was between mode 7 and blast processing, and no one realized it didn't mean anything.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the big thing on it too is you got to remember, like even at the beginning of this generation, there wasn't a big push on upgrading graphics and like that big graphical boost. Like we've seen, like we're never gonna see the jump from PS1 to PS2, PS2 to PS3, even
No, those days
PS3.
are over.
Yeah, even PS3 to PS4. Like it was a jump, but not as big of a jump as we've seen. But when it comes to it, like this time around, like I was okay with it when they were showing this, and it was pretty much like, hey, look, I felt like they were kind of saying, the Xbox One, the PS4, we got those ones, pretty well. We're just going to improve on this. But really, we're trying to focus more on performance and resolution boosts as opposed to just straight up graphics right here. Like this game will be able to load in things faster. This other game right here, because the SSD, as opposed to it taking 2 minutes to load in game, it's going to take 4 seconds to load in game. So you're not going to see as big of a graphical boost this time around. And I was perfectly okay with that. I'm like, okay, I understand that's how it's going to be. But I will say on the PS5 Pro, it's been... these systems, both of them, like the Xbox and the PlayStation, like I was saying earlier, I haven't seen a need for a half generation boost in that regard. And I was even thinking, like, when I mentioned like the Slims, I completely forgot about this, but I just remembered, like, 11, 12 years old, like one of my friends at school, we were talking about what we were going to get for Christmas. And he was saying that he had a fat PS2, and this is when the PS2 Slim had recently came out, and he said he was going to be getting the PS2 Slim, and he was excited about it. And I was like, wait, don't you have a PS2? He said, yeah, but he wanted to get the Slim one. And I just remember thinking, I'm like, why? It's the same system. It's going, if anything, even back then I thought the fat one was cooler, but I'm like, so even aesthetics aside, it's the same. You're not getting a stat bump. You're not getting a spec increase on this. This time around, we are getting them, and I think it was an interesting thing that they did last generation, but I was thinking this generation, they were just going to be releasing the systems and going to be staying with that, and I can't remember, and maybe someone can verify this or see, but like I swear even on the Microsoft side of house, I swear at one point Phil Spencer had said a comment that was something like, essentially saying like, we're not going to be doing one of these again. It's like, look, if you want the cheaper, more budget friendly, lower power option, we have the Series S. If you want the higher power version, we have the Series X. We're going to announce, some SKU upgrades as we get into the future of this, but we're not going to do like a Xbox Series X2 or Series X Square or something. Like, the system that you're going to get in 2020 is the same system spec-wise that you're going to have, if you buy a new one in 5 years. We're not doing that half jump again. But when it comes to the PS5, at the beginning, I'm not the greatest PS5 owner. Not that I don't take care of my system, I just don't use it as much as I would think I would or I should. But even with that, when I do play games on there, I'm like, the games that are optimized here are pretty good. The games that are not as well optimized, I think they do still need some time to bake. But that's on the developers right there. It's not a limitation of the system. And that's where I see it. I'm like, these systems, they've been around for a few years. Developers, in my opinion, still haven't fully tapped into what they have to offer. So I'm kind of here like, look, I felt the limitations on the Xbox One and the PS4, so the Pro and the One X models were welcome additions. But when it comes to the PS5 Pro, I'm like, I'm not denying that games are going to run and look better on there, but like, how much bigger is the jump going to be, especially when we haven't really tapped out what these games can do on these consoles?
No, and this is going to be a two tangent reply.
Cap?
Like, you knew we were / are reaching the end of the graphic upgrade reasoning when they were like, hey, here's the PS5 Pro, but if you have the PS4, and this is for the majority of them, we'll give you, if you have the PS4 disc, we'll just give you the PS5 version for free.
Mm-hmm.
If you can give me all new looking graphics for free, how little did you work on that? Like I'm trying to find like where what the groundwork is for that. And then two, Mark Cerny in the opening of the PS5 Pro reveal said something that really stuck with me. And it was something to the effect of like, developers are always asking us for like more of this and more of that. Like that died. Like, I remember when it was still the Super Nintendo and the PlayStation and the Saturn, like, programmers weren't like, oh, we want more RAM, can you make a new system? They were like, well, hell, we have to try and figure out how to get this to work and run on this hardware.
Yep.
And that's why you saw games literally evolve. Like, day one PS1 games that were 3D look nothing like the last year of 3D games, especially like if you compare FIFA, which was still using sprites in 96 that now had like light source shading and like animations and so forth in 2000 2004, I think it is. For the last one, or 2005, released in 2004, is the
Okay.
last game. Like it was like the elbow grease, like Capcom figuring out how to cram in more animation frames just by having some of the special effects be 3D instead of their sprites, and
Mhm.
it still looked the same. That was ingenious.
Yeah.
But now you're telling me you can't be bothered to figure out how to get more textures into the same amount of RAM I paid $500 for? Get out of here! Like I'm like no, I'm
Yeah.
done. Like it's ridiculous.
I agree. I agree. I told you this right before we had started recording on here, but the kind of sniff test, or like the litmus I've seen when I've been playing PS5 games, and this is not like PS4 games on PS5, it is like PS5 builds on the PS5. When you're going into loading sections and loading screens, typically I've noticed if you are loading more than 3 seconds consistently, that game could be better optimized. But like
Oh,
the
definitely,
properly optimized PS5 games, no more than 3 seconds of loading time. And
absolutely.
yeah, and there's been more games than I'd like to admit where it's not like, oh, this is a game breaking thing, but I'm like, oh, huh, this is taking like 8 seconds, 10 seconds to load, and then you can tell it's like the game looks good, but it could still probably look better. It could run better in some way. And even I was thinking, what you had said at one point in your reply to, I guess, getting the all new graphics for free in a PS5 build, even with those like PS4 games that they give you a free upgrade to the PS5 version of, it depends on, and I'm not trying to be insulting to the developers, but I guess to me it depends on how much work is being done on those there, because you were saying like new graphics, and I feel like there's going to be some tweaks and mods that can be done, but like, even at minimum, there's a lot of games that don't need all too much there, and I think it would probably be more just kind of refactoring the game to be compiled for like a PS5 package and actually be on there, because at that point it would utilize those PS5 specific libraries, the PS5 specific hardware, so it's going to actually take use of and like tap into that and be optimized to run on a SSD as opposed to a mechanical drive that's going to be not mechanical but on a SSD on the PS5 itself, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, like my friend Alan said it best when they announced the Pro. His first question to me on Twitter was, "So is this our generation's 32X?" And I was like,
Mm.
"No." I was like, "No, it's our generation's laser active. Like, here's your system, but oh, you actually want to play games? Well, now you have to buy the drive pack and
Yep.
then plug that in." And it's like, guys, come on, like it's over.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
just relax.
We didn't even talk about that until now, but yeah, based on what they did with the PS5 Slim, I know that's not officially what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it at least. The
Yeah.
Slim and the Pro, yeah, you have to. It's $700, and then you have to get a $80 USD disk drive if you do want a
Yep.
disk drive on there. For anybody who's into offline preservation, all that stuff, you do have to connect your system to the internet with the latest update, and you have to hook that drive up and activate it at least once. So you can't just like keep it offline and do it in the future if you want to stay offline. And then even the stand, like the base PS5 comes with a stand, but this time around you have to pay extra for one. So
Yes, you have to pay extra fare for what is essentially a fat paperclip.
exactly. And then that's just the US prices right there, because when I say this, there's people overseas, there's people across the pond. They're like, we gotta pay close to 1,000. We're pretty much paying $1,000 for the same thing because we're paying more money for this.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
It's just ridiculous, man. Like
yeah.
it, and then like I'm going to my like used to work at GameStop rant, but like and then like the whole thing with the pro controllers. It's like, guys, it doesn't help you. Just relax. Unless you have a like a wacky configuration you love, like you save your $200. It pro controllers are just the Turtle Beach headsets of the 360 era. They don't help you.
Oh,
They don't help you at all.
although I wasn't a Turtle Beach user, I used one a little bit, but it was more just to keep the TV quiet as opposed to trying to be a better elite gamer and all that stuff.
Oh,
I
dude, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just like I watched 18-year-olds walking with their mom, and their moms would fork over $250 because they thought this headset was going to make them a pro player. It's like,
mhm.
no, no. I'm using a $10 Sony headset through the microphone jack. You're fine. Like, just
Yeah,
get good.
there is a big aspect to get good on that. The little bit I will say is, I haven't said this in so long, but sound whoring, that was what a lot of people did back in the day. Are you familiar with
That's
that?
no, but that's my new favorite word of the week.
Okay, sound whoring.
I'm
There
gonna
you
use that at
go.
least twice. Yeah.
So for anybody who does not know, it was, an 18-year-old with their mom in that example getting a $250 headset, and then they ended up becoming better, not necessarily from a better skill set, but because the headset was so good and so detailed when it came to audio. And honestly, this is just a tribute to how good the audio design was. An example of this, like the first time I ever heard of this being benefited from was one of my friends. He was telling me he was playing 1v1 with someone on maybe Call of Duty 4 or Modern Warfare 2, one of those two games, and he was just using his TV. His friend is using one of those professional headsets. My friend is hiding. He's got his sniper rifle out, and he keeps doing the thing where he's looking and he's holding his breath. And after he does that a few times, his friend is across the map and is like, "Hey, are you going to shoot me or not?" And my friend's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "I can hear you breathing, dude. Like, are you going to shoot or not?" And my friend's like, "Wait, I'm across the map. You can hear that?" He's like, "Yeah, I have a headset." So that's what they mean by sound whoring. You can hear everything, and you can use that to your advantage.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
That's why you said sound whoring, and my first thought was out of context to someone who doesn't know what that is. They're like, how many Soundwave figures are they buying for Transformers? Like, what's going on?
That's great. But no, that was just, it's one of those things where it's like it didn't necessarily make them better, but they were able to perform at a higher level just because they forked over more money to have a nicer sound setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, for me, I think the more impressive bit there is the sound design that allowed that to happen.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. But I think, no, with the, I don't know, even with the PS5 Pro, I'm not trying to like, to be clear, I'm not telling people, hey, don't buy this thing. I'm like, look, if you want to get it, get it. If you're not going to, that's fine. For the first time, I don't have any inclination to get one. I don't feel any FOMO, none of that. I'm just like, I don't really use my PS5 much as is. I would rather kind of just still squeeze what I have out of this. And if I feel a need to get a Pro in the future, sure, I'm going to do that. I don't know. The big thing I'm seeing on that, though, is I don't know how well it's going to sell, because I know the PS4 Pro did sell and it sold well enough that there's plenty of them out there. However, even years into the life cycle of the PS4 Pro, a lot of people chose to get a PS4 Slim as opposed to the Pro. The main, I feel like the main thing was the price difference, because, PS4 Pro was, still $400 or so. PS4 Slim, those were going on sale so often for like $200, $250 with games sometimes. So it was a more attractive price point. But on top of that, I would even sit there and explain it to people who money didn't really matter to them in that regard, because they could have paid the extra money. But even when I explained to them, pretty much everyone still went with the PS4 Slim. They did not see a need to get a Pro.
Yep. I think Sony's how do I say this? Sony's belief in how well it's going to sell in the current market, especially when they had to raise the prices in Japan.
Yes.
The fact that there's only 12,000 of the limited edition one, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a big eyebrow raise to how many of those standards are going to be actually made on the first run. I don't think it's going to sell much at all.
Yeah, I have no doubt that it will sell out, because typically when it comes to brand new hardware, it sells out on launch, whether it's people who are interested or people who want to scalp and resell it.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be 80% scalpers, but yeah.
Exactly. But after that, like, maybe a couple months afterwards, I think it's probably going to be pretty easy to pick up a PS5 Pro.
I'll wait till they're like, $200.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we
when we're on the PlayStation 7.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we're kind of at that point now, I think, with the PS4, where I think you can get a PS4 Pro pretty easily for around $200.
It's a great investment.
It is.
Not only that, but like you can game the system. Like a whole bunch of like during Christmas, a whole bunch of games came out for the PS5. It was like PS4 and PS5, and I was like, okay, let's wait for a little bit. And like after 2 months, I went back to Best Buy, and where the PS5 version was $70, I just walked over to the PS4 section, picked up the clearance items for $15 each, and then went home and got the free upgrades.
Yep.
So it's like, why would I ever buy a PS5 game?
Yep. Yeah. Now, my curious question on that is, because admittedly, I didn't see, because you saw like the Mark Cerny announcement and such, I didn't see that. So when it came to the upgrades on there, are they just saying like these cross-gen games are getting free upgrades, or is it like ones that used to be paid are now free, or what's going on with that? Because I know like
It's
I was seeing the free upgrades when I first got my PS5, but there were a few games, there would be like a handful of games where the upgrade was like $10 or
Yeah, which is no biggie. Like, yeah, it's still fine.
mm-hmm.
I didn't see anything past that in the video. It seems like a lot of it was like in the talk afterwards in the press releases. From what I was reading, it sounds like because they were like, oh, it's got AI upscaling.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in their press release, it's apparently worded to where like it's essentially reading as this may help hundreds of thousands of PS4 games you have. So, it's a pro gamble system. It's like it's basically it's become this AI upscaling has become the PS2 backwards compatibility where it's a roll of the dice if your game's going to work or not, and then if the game is still going to work or not when you get the slim and the mini slim, where the
Yes.
the basic compatibility kept changing.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's just I don't understand modern gaming right now. It's so it makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. Isn't and that's why it's nice to go back to the older systems and be like, there's charm here. There's like, it actually feels like you're not restricted online to things and kind of just chained to that. And I talked about this recently, but I kind of had a little bit of that realization whenever I probably my favorite console, like console is the Xbox 360, but like when I had picked one up recently, I picked another one up for pretty cheap. And it was just nice where I was like, hey, I can take this, hook it up. I don't even have to put on my Wi-Fi or anything. Turn it on, it works. I can pop in a disc. The game is on there. It works fine. I can install it to the hard drive, play it so it's going to be quieter, and everything works just fine. If I want to, I can wipe the system, wipe the hard drive on here, do an initial setup, create accounts, do whatever I want to on here, and I don't have to worry about day one patches for the most part. I don't have to worry about a lot of other limitations. Now, there are still limitations on 360 I don't like the hard drive security sector limitations, and certain models having to look out for some more than others because of that, general hardware failure and such. But for the most part, I'm like, I like where I can just turn the system on, boot into a game, and play it, as opposed to the newer systems where it feels like there's always some kind of upgrade or some kind of reliance on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they do that on purpose.
Oh yeah, they do.
Yeah. You remember the all the nightmare scenarios with the Xbox One of being always online, always listening, always watching DRM heavy system.
Or as we lovingly refer to it now, the when you heard the death knell around the world.
Yeah.
They-
TV.
They messed that up so bad. Oh my god! Like that was their Wii Music moment.
Yeah. And it's funny because now that generation is in my eyes, it's done. You can say, I remember what is it? What Don Matrick? That was his name. I almost forgot his name.
Yeah.
But Don Matrick. I remember him saying, because he just kept saying stuff where he was putting his foot in his mouth. And when people asked about online reliance, do you remember that famous quote where he said, well, thankfully for people
we can just go get a 360.
Yeah, he said, well, thankfully for people like that, we do have a product and it's called Xbox 360. And at the time, it's like, wait a minute, you're trying to advertise your new product and you're promoting the old one. And now, a generation later, I look at that and I'm like, he's not wrong. The 360 was a better system.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's like I joked a long time ago. There's unfortunately, ever since the PlayStation 3 launched, there is this virus that's not COVID in the gaming industry that's called the PlayStation 3 ego. And every system publisher gets that ego in turn in cycle. So like PlayStation 2 was absolutely phenomenal. Sony comes out and says, hey, PlayStation 3, you're going to work 2 jobs and buy this system, even if there's no games for it. And everyone kind of went, no. So then, 360 does phenomenal, and they're like, oh, hey, we're going to make the next Xbox online only and blah, blah, blah. Done deal. Nintendo's like, hey, the Wii's great. Now we're going to, give you a tablet that's not a tablet. And then they got effed up.
Mm-hmm.
And, now the ego is back to the PlayStation 5. I think if it's not on the PS5 Pro, I think it's going to go back to Nintendo. Because Nintendo's hardware is like Star Trek movies. Every other one is the good one.
Mm-hmm.
And with how well the Switch did, I am terrified for the Switch too.
So I'm not as worried because I've heard what you're talking about, except as opposed to comparing it to the PS3, I've heard it be the curse of the third console because we can go. So you had the two examples there, but we can even go back further in time and Sega ended up, well, actually, let's say Nintendo. Nintendo, people say they had that with original Nintendo, great. Super Nintendo, super. N64, in our minds, it's a nice nostalgic system to look back on, but there were a lot of issues with it back in the day.
Oh,
a
yeah,
lot
definitely.
of things, pricing, a lot of developers did not like it, and it actually sold the worst out of those systems, and people forget these things. And then with Sega, well, which system do you want to go on? Do you want to say the Sega CD? No, that was an add-on. 32X, that was an add-on. Sega Saturn, that's a console. Any of those could be the third system, and they were all fumbled. So I've heard the curse of the third console.
Yeah. I was just like, because like after getting shellacked with the GameCube, and then the Wii U, like it's gonna be interesting. Like, what's funny is I'm really curious to see if Nintendo is gonna follow their lessons with the Switch, or if they're gonna follow Sony's lessons with the PS5, so to speak. And what I mean by that is the Switch, and to a degree the Wii, which was literally just a GameCube with a magic wand. They proved you don't need graphics to sell hardware and software.
I know.
Like Nintendo, at this point, Nintendo is at least 4 generations behind graphic wise, and yet everyone's still playing the Switch. And I need the other companies to realize that. And to Nintendo's credit, they finally realized it's not the gimmick. Like with the Wii, I think with the Wii U, they learned that it's not a gimmick world anymore. It's the how can we provide a tangible, what is technically a gimmick, but is actually a tangible, usable thing.
Yes.
And when the Switch came out and they were like, hey, remember how you thought you could take the Wii U with you? Well, now you can on the Switch, and everyone lost their minds. So like literally even if they said, hey, it's Switch 2, it's literally just a Switch with backwards compatibility and slightly better graphics.
I'm in.
It'll sell boatloads.
Yep.
All they'd have to do is just make the controllers just the tiniest bit bigger, so fatty thumbs like me, like if I pick up half the joy, like I call it half joypad, but if I pick up one joypad and rotate it for like 2-player Mario Kart on quote unquote one system, my left thumb sitting on the analog stick, I can press the A and B button. Like that's how fat and big my thumbs are. So like if they can just make those guys a little bit bigger, it's perfect. They don't need to do anything.
Yeah. Well, I know on the like my Switch experience, for example, I use those Satisfy gaming grips not because of like a meme or because like, oh, like Hail Corporate and all that stuff, but it's like no, they actually do make it a lot better. Like I wasn't a believer, and then I end up getting one on sale, and now I have multiple ones in my household because I'm like, no, it hurts less. It rounds out the Switch. It makes it so much more comfortable. And every single person who has held my Switch, they all say positive things about it. No one's like, oh, this is unnecessary, this isn't neato, it's not great. Everyone's like, dude, what is this? This is so much better. So I hope the ergonomics would be better, but I kind of doubt that. So we're probably going to be relying on a Satisfy 2 with the Switch 2.
So just to go back to a previous conversation so I can make the dirty joke.
Yeah.
Does that make all of you grip whores?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I be careful, you might get a death grip on that.
Oh, hey.
I was gonna say too, it's interesting when you were talking about the GameCube, because my girlfriend, she does play games, but she was kind of out of the loop, out of the game, so to speak, for a few generations. So she's been really big onto Animal Crossing New Horizons. But it was funny because, do you by chance remember these? When the first Animal Crossing came out for GameCube, there was a series of commercials that were real live actors who were in Animal Crossing villager suits, and the episodes were set up like the real world, the MTV show. Do you remember this at all?
No.
Oh, I'm gonna have to. What were you saying?
I would have been a Game Shark at that time, and I have no memory of this because we were all over the media stuff. Yeah.
So I will link it to you because they are phenomenal. There's only like 3 or 4 of them, so about 30 seconds each. And I remember as a kid, I watched them on TV. They aired, so I had remembered these. Like they were unearthed out of my memory. And I showed my girlfriend, and she was just kind of like in awe and was laughing because we had talked about the real world at one point recently. So she was just dumbfounded that Nintendo was doing that. And even like some of the jokes, I don't remember which one there was, but there was just a straight up euphemism in one of them, which had her jaw drop. It was funny, yeah. And I had to tell her, I'm like, no, you got to realize at one point, it was during that era, it was the GameCube generation. That's when Nintendo was worried about losing their kid audience. And now they've just embraced it. They said, hey, look, kids are always going to be kids, and there's always going to be kids growing up, but there's always going to be new kids coming into the world. So we're just going to kind of do what we know is best here. But back then, you remember during the GameCube era, they were trying to follow those kids and follow that audience. So the people who grew up with the Nintendo, Super Nintendo N64, they were becoming like edgier and cool, like teenagers and adults and stuff, and Nintendo was for babies. So Nintendo was trying to do this awkward, like, hello fellow youth type thing, where they were trying to be more edgy and more street and more cool and embrace that edgy side. And that was an odd moment in Nintendo history. I'm happy it only lasted that one generation, but you saw it in moments like where they were doing M-rated games, where they were doing like Eternal Darkness, which is awesome. They were doing like the real world references.
That was literally the first game that came to mind when you made the joke. Yep. I would like, yeah, but I would take an Eternal Darkness too. I would.
Oh yeah, yeah, everyone would. Yeah, and now I think they found a pretty good balance where it's like, hey, you can get the latest Mario games. There's new Zelda games that are coming out. There's more mature ones. There's also going to be, the more cutesy kitty type ones, and then you'll have M-rated games like I think Famicom Detective Club, that game, Amio, the Smiling Man. I just picked it up, need to play it, but that's an M-rated game, first party or maybe even second party Nintendo type game, and people seem to be really cool with it and supporting it.
Nice.
Yeah. So that was just something. I don't know if I don't know how fond your memories are of that era, but it was just interesting seeing Nintendo kind of do the how do you do fellow kids thing there.
No, yeah, no, like I said, like my mind immediately went to Eternal Darkness. Like, yeah, they were trying to get a little bit more risky with it.
Yep. Yeah, what is it? Let me see here. I think actually, funny enough, I had this listed here that I wanted to talk to you about, because since we were talking about the Switch and Nintendo and everything, I was going to ask you about the Switch 2. I don't know how aware like you've been on some leaks and rumors and such that have come out about it.
Not really. Like, I don't like. I'm usually so busy with PlayStation 1 stuff that like. Okay. Unless someone like spills it out in 240 characters on Twitter or a Facebook post or something, like I wouldn't say I don't care, but it's more of like until there's something to oh, look at that, I have a happy link to click.
There we go. Yes.
I saw the shell. But I'm almost positive that these were, because I remember everyone was talking about like how the shells look like this specific and the triggers and everything. I'm almost positive someone. When did this leak? When was this posted? Oh, this is 2 days ago.
Yes.
So this might be real, because I thought I saw someone saying no.
And that's why, dude. Here's the thing, man. I usually don't really pay these things much mind, or I don't want to entertain them all too much. But this one I looked at and I'm like, okay, this one I would more bet money on is real.
Okay, so blah, 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 yada yada.
Yeah, and
built-in microphone.
Yep, and while Jason is looking at it, to kind of explain to anybody who hasn't
Did the Switch have a built-in microphone?
No, it did not actually.
That would be interesting then.
It would be, yeah. So essentially I linked to Jason a Wario64 tweet where they said, rumor leaked photos of Nintendo Switch 2 design, and it was originally posted on the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, where they said photos of Switch 2 factory prototypes were leaked. And it shows a whole lot of specs on here, but also some like nice 3D renders. And even at the end, it also shows, let's see, some of the like actual like prototype hardware that has been pressed up. Like you have a completely unpopulated main board. You have the actual shell that the main board and the battery is going to go into. You have the Joy-Con shells here. And that's mainly what I looked at, where I was like, this looks a lot more legit than anything else I've seen. But I also did not notice this until I looked at this shortly before our call. Did you notice it's in the second tweet? There's actually two, and there's been rumors that there's going to be two SKUs, but did you notice that there's two models of the supposed Switch 2?
No, I'm actually looking at the one. Oh, well, yeah.
Yeah, there's two of them, and it pretty much looks like they just look like beefier, upgraded versions of the Switch Core version. That's what we call it, at least the standard Switch and the Switch OLED. But but it looks like this time around they're coming right out the bat with two designs as opposed to just sticking to one.
I wonder if one would be. I wonder if it's not so much a performance difference like a regular and a Pro. I'm wondering if one is strictly digital, like they did with the not like they did, but I wonder if one would be strictly digital and one would have a cartridge port.
So I'm going to disagree with you on there because I'm looking at this. I can see the pretty much I'm looking at the renders from the back of them, and I can see the cartridge port on the both of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm looking at the picture right now. I didn't realize those were two. I thought that was a battery cover.
No, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is that indentation? Is that for the stand?
Yes. So if they still stick with the original stand, honestly, I'm going to be shocked because most people do not like that original kickstand.
Yeah, it was like half an inch, like of nothing.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know what the one person's comment though is very valid. A couple down below that if you use the USB-C port as a reference point, that screen is huge.
I know. I like it.
that might be unwieldy though. I would love to play a vertical shooter on that, but that might be too big.
There's going to be plenty of accessories with that, I'm sure. And then this is kind of, there's been people who've like kind of poked at some patents and stuff, but even the Joy-Cons themselves, you can tell that they are about the same, but they've been just subtly upgraded, subtly touched on, and they seem to be more, as opposed to sliding them in and out, they seem to be more kind of like socketed and magnetic in a way, which looks like a very positive change to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I was looking at this, and I'll be honest, because I love the Switch, and my first thought, I was like, dude, if this is the Switch 2, I love this design. To me, now, when I did say this, people did call out. They're like, well, the screen is not an OLED screen, unfortunately. And I was like, well, I mean, that's going to be disappointing. But like when it comes to it, because I've had all the models of the Switch, and the OLED model is the main one I use, and it is premium feeling. It's nice. To me, the original Switch feels more like a upgraded toy, and the OLED feels like a proper, well done, like well built portable console like that. And this to me just looks like a more premium version of the OLED model of the original Switch. And if that's what this is, I'm on board with it. I'm all cool with it. That is phenomenal for me.
I was just say, wife gets brand new Zelda machine, so it's all good.
There we go. Yeah. No. Oh, I already know that the girlfriend will get one of these as a Animal Crossing machine, a nice upgrade one.
There you go.
Yeah. By the way, also, this will be for later. I will link that to you there. For anyone who wants to see this, it's called Animal Crossing GameCube live action commercials.
Oh my god, it looks terrifying from the thumbnail.
Man, that is the real world right there, but just with Animal Crossing. But no, it's great. I again, totally worth watching because I cannot remember what it is right now, but there was just a straight up euphemism that was in there. And I'm like, yeah, that's what Nintendo was trying to do. They were trying to be like, look, we're growing up with you. See, we can make sex jokes.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Just the eyebrows on the female, like those underbrow, like that. It looks like she's crying blood. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I know. What? Maybe not so much blood, but maybe she's just kind of like she's seen some shit. I can tell.
Like she's about to become the Crow. Like this is where we're at. Like what?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Yeah. Nintendo was going on back then. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm like I said, so I guess this sounds like this is new to you, then you haven't seen these Switch 2 leaks, right?
Like I said, aside from just like the fact that I didn't realize it was two models. I thought the one was just like the dust cover or like the battery cover.
Oh.
Like I just glazed over. I was like, okay, cool. I'll wait till I'm one who's like if there's something I'm very, very interested in, I will immediately black out everything. Like oh, there's a Switch 2 coming. That's what they might look like. Cool. And then I'll never look at another thing again until it launches.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like why break? Why redo what's not broken? I mean,
Exactly.
aside from better everything and slightly bigger, like yeah, they got it nailed. Like, dude, I have se- I have seen, and this is coming as a compliment.
Okay.
I have seen social media posts and videos of Switch collectors that have a literal red wall behind them,
Oh yeah.
and most of the games are still sealed. I don't think Nintendo has anything to worry about supporting their system.
Yeah, yeah, and I know who I've seen the collectors. I know who you're talking about as well too. And no disrespect to them, I think that's cool to build up a collection like that. Sealed, I don't necessarily understand, but like you do you when it comes to that. But I just know that the Switch market and the Switch collecting and collectability of it overall is deep seated enough to the point where Nintendo cannot release a cartridgeless version of this if they do this here. Like that would kill a lot of hype if it was just digital only.
Oh yeah, it would.
Yeah.
So although like so it's weird because uh, has Nintendo haven't done an all digital version, have they? Was the Switch Lite digital?
I'm no. The Switch Lite has all the Switches can use cartridges. I'm trying to think of
Okay.
like the closest I can really think to like a digital only version of a system would be like the one-off ones they had, like the Nintendo Classic, the Super Nintendo Classic, the two Game and Watch systems. And I guess you could even say the original Game and Watch is right there. But those ones also, you buy it and that's it. You can't add any more
Yeah,
software
yeah,
to them.
yeah. They're not intended to have a library. They're just a one and done purchase.
Exactly. So when you
Yeah,
buy so like when you buy a Nintendo Classic, you've bought the entire Nintendo Classic library. Same with the Super Nintendo Classic, you've bought the entire Super Nintendo Classic library. They didn't offer any ability to add more games to it.
yeah. Like I can't imagine them going digital only.
Yeah, yeah.
Although
Well,
although they might be forced to just because of how many retail stores are getting rid of their gaming sections.
yeah, and that's been disappointing too. And I feel like that's something you would probably kind of like follow and know better than me. But isn't it like, from what I know, there's been a few, because there were more pressing plants before, but to my understanding, there's less pressing plants. Like several of them have shut down, or they're just like stop pressing games and such. So it's coming from like further into the supply chain than we realize. It's not just like GameStop not, like GameStop losing interest or not ordering. Like there's these shops and different businesses where they're saying, no, because games aren't being pressed, because these pressing plants are shutting down, we can't even put in orders, or to struggle to get copies of games, or when we get our games, we get them late.
Yeah, I know that was a big issue with limited run games when they flat out said like, guys, it's not our choice. Like when they had said that like they had just ordered their last DS and Vita game, they're like, yeah, that's it. We can't do anything else
Yes.
because there's no place to make them.
Yep. Yep. But I'm even talking new stuff like PS4, PS5, like Xbox Series, stuff like that.
Yeah, well, the like when Capcom comes out and says like I think it was like 85% of their sales are digital,
Yep.
they're not going to print up physical copies. No one
No,
cares. Like,
no, they're not.
yeah, and like as much as I love physical copies, I'll be the first to say it. Like I digitally pre-ordered Horizon Forbidden West and the new Life is Strange
Oh, wow.
because there's literally, and this is coming from the voice of a person who is sitting in front of 2,000 physical PS1 games. There is literally no need to own a disc anymore unless comes out as a Game of the Year edition that has everything on disc with not a single patch to
Mm-hmm.
download, because otherwise you just have a key
Mm-hmm.
and there's no point. I like to give you an idea of how like we were joking about this off recording. Like I've been starting to embrace my filthy casual side.
Yeah.
I, to paint this picture correctly, when we bought the condo, the people we bought it from left behind all the furniture and all the things. So like we got this really nice lazy boy recliner.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and that's my gaming chair. I've got my own. We have his and hers TVs in the living room. So like while I'm gaming or she's watching YouTube and stuff, I can still do my own thing.
Mm-hmm.
My recliner. If I were to stand up from my recliner and take an extended step forward, I would be at my PlayStation 5.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can reach out and pet it. And 3 weeks ago, I was playing something. I was like, I don't really want to play this anymore. And I was like, oh, I should probably throw a different disc in. And I realized I couldn't be bothered to literally stand up, take one step, open a drawer, swap the discs, take one step back and sit down. That instead I just bought the Arkham bundle for $5 digitally and let that download for 5 minutes and then played that.
And sometimes that's how it is, but like you touched up on an important thing too, specifically with the price. It's like, how do I put it? It was originally, digital distribution was originally also marketed as a thing of like, hey, it's going to be cheaper for us to maintain, so theoretically we could sell you games for less. So as opposed to selling you a physical title for $60 that has a case and artwork and packaging and has to go through shipping and distribution and supply chains and all that, we could sell you that same data digitally for 45, $50. The thing is, companies said that was a possibility, but they didn't do it. So that's why, for me, at least in my caveman brain, I'm like, hey, if I'm going to pay $70 for some data or $70 for some data with a physical thing that I can, lend out or resell or do whatever I want to, I'd rather get the physical.
Yeah, like in fairness to them, I'm sure they said that before realizing in 2 years they were going to need 700 people to make a game.
Yeah, that
Like,
too as well.
yeah, it's not only that, but like I had this conversation with someone years ago, when Mass Effect Andromeda came out, and when the reviews are coming out saying, yeah, it's good, but it's not Mass Effect Trilogy good. Yeah, like, are you going to wait on it? And I said, no, I have it pre-ordered across all systems, including the ones I don't own, and I picked all of them up on day one, including the systems I didn't own, because we're at that point now where like it like everyone's like, oh, like just wait 2 weeks, it'll be on sale, blah blah. And it's like, no, it might be on sale, but that means it's $20 less times how many people less to that company. They have people to feed. If it's a series I love and I know I will play regardless of its problems, I will pay day one pricing to support that company.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I shouldn't say post. I think in a current social media financially driven eBay world. And I've made that, I say this all the time, where people no longer say, is this game good? But they say, is this game worth the money, or how much is this game worth?
Mm-hmm.
They're going to hold off just so they can make their little social media post about how they caught some store slipping and they only paid $30 for a $60 game.
Yep.
Like, we've moved beyond like being supporters of a company, and it's going into just a personal performance, I guess, of like, so you can get your 5 clicks and be like, hey, look, I'm the cool dude, etc.
Now here's a question I do have for you though in regards to that with pricing, because I talked a bit about this on the show before, and it was a solo episode, but I had said like it was when prices went up to $70 for games, and I was like, actually, if we account for the inflation on here, we're still going to be paying less than people were generations ago, and it's actually surprising that we've waited so long for the price to go up on these games, so it's not as bad. But I'd also heard another thing from someone, which, like, I didn't think of this, but even when I looked looked in on myself, I was like, wow, that actually kind of tracks with me. Do you feel like with games being $70, there's been more hesitation? Because the jumps I went through was I was around when games were $50, and then new generation they went from 50 to 60. And it's like $60, okay, whatever, it's better graphics and all that stuff. It's a new system, okay, sure, yeah, the price is gonna go up. And then we were at 60 for so long, but then when games went up to $70, it's kind of like, oh, I know that's only $10 more, but I have to really think, and I don't really need that game right now. I think I can wait a while.
I if we were still in, let me make this accurate here. Think
Sure.
about this for a second. If we were still in, let's say, the Super Nintendo to PlayStation 1 era,
Mm-hmm.
I would be on the side of that's too much money, because in those days you had separate teams. So
Yeah.
if you were like, let's say Street Fighter 2 is coming out for the Super Nintendo, it would be coming out to Japan first because that's where it's programmed.
Mm-hmm.
So you can either pay the $60 plus the importing fees plus whatever to get it sooner, or you can wait till America, where the American team can come and make the translations work they need it, and then it comes out at its normal price. Then yeah, you waited for the value what you put in. But nowadays, it's literally just one team of like 700 people, like I said before, and the only real difference is just the translation teams
Hmm.
that you're kind of like things. So it's like it's you're no longer, the $70 is no longer you paying for your side of the ocean copy of the game. It's you paying for literally everyone involved
Hmm.
in this globally distributed game digitally.
That's a good
So
point.
it yeah, it's all under, you're basically paying for the everyone's under one roof, quote unquote,
Yep.
working hybrid. But yeah, and I think what it comes down to is it's not even from an hour standpoint, because I hate when people are like, "Oh, this game was only 10 hours long. It's not worth this
No.
$60." Like, it depends on how much joy you get out of it.
Yep.
And I have played and platinumed every Life is Strange game. I know going into Double Exposure that it's worth the $80 I paid for the collector's edition.
Hmm.
Which, side tangent, I loved when Deck 9 was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, if you get the collector's edition, you'll get 2 weeks early access." And everyone was like, "Oh, what the hell? You're charging money for people to play your game early." No, they're charging for the 4 or 5 DLC packs. Side tangent. One of them has a kitty,
Oh.
and the two, like, if you do the literal math, you're literally getting what you're paying for, and the early access is just a free bonus.
Yeah.
And I can't stand that people are trying to warp it and twist it to sound like some like champion of the people, like, yeah, like down with, whatever company's making it. It's like,
Hmm.
no, it's a cool little ball. Like I'm an idiot. I enjoy all the clothing skins. Like when I played
Okay.
True Colors, I played through it 3 times and changed my clothing every chance I got.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's just like I have no problems paying $70. I have no problem paying $70 for a game I know I'm going to enjoy. Where that comes into question is, say, in a month and a half, when the game shipped glitchy or a problem.
Yeah.
Like Andromeda. Andromeda was broken. Like there's no way to argue. It was literally broken.
Hmm.
But the fixes they made and the problems it had still didn't deter from the amazing combat system it had, and like the nice little cheeky tongue-in-cheek references it had. So it was still worth that $60 to me.
Hmm.
So like it's really hard to judge like how much a game should be worth, just because everyone's
It
value proposition is different.
it's in the value for sure. Yeah, I'm one of those people. I don't, so I still buy physical when I can, but I'm not getting every single game out there. Like my game purchasing has slowed down a lot in the last few years, which I'm thankful for. However, when it comes to it, like there's a few games I pick up on day one, and I was actually even gonna say when it came to like physical games, we're kind of getting to a point that the scary and unfortunate thing with physical copies, it's like they're not fully going away, but because it's kind of harder to get them and we're seeing, lower print runs at times, it's not even for a collectability thing. But I'm not sure if you've seen this from my experience. There's a lot of times it's like, no, dude, if you want this game, you're going to have to pre-order it physically if you want it, because you can always get it digitally. But if you want to get a copy of this game, it's going to be harder to just walk into a store and get it now. One, because there's less stores that are stocking, and two, they're not getting as many copies of games. And even if they do, it's inconsistent when they're going to get a new batch in. So I've had to tell people, it's like, we're kind of almost going back to how it was, because the last like 10 years was like, screw these companies, don't pre-order a game, never pre-order a game. You can just walk in and get it. If you're giving them pre-orders, you're giving them money for a promise they haven't fulfilled yet. But now it's kind of at the point where it was about 20 years ago, where it's like, hey, if you don't pre-order this game, there's a chance that you're not going to be playing it, even the first week that it's out, if you're going to be
Well,
limited to
yeah.
physical.
Well, yeah, it's because the only constant that's ever changed is all the pre-order was inventory control.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, like, oh, I there's a YouTuber I watched that actually said, when what was it, the college football game, when
Yes.
that came out, he went to his store and the only copy they got in was his pre-ordered copy.
Yep. Yep.
And he was telling his friends, like, I told you to pre-order it.
Yep. Yep.
So they just went digital.
Yeah, and that's a thing too. It kind of flipped in that regard because like for so long it was like you hey pre-order like I and the examples I have of this, I remember one of the biggest games in the world, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. I pre-ordered the game months in advance. I was going to pick it up at GameStop. The day it came out, my dad got a call not saying, hey, you can't get this for your son because it's rated M, but it was like, hey, we understand that you have a pre-order of this game, but there was an issue at the distribution, like at the plant, and there was a batch of copies that ended up getting a bad press. So we're short on copies right now. We don't know when we're going to get another one. You still have your pre-order, but it's going to be first come first serve. So if you do not come in today and we run out of copies, you're not getting yourself a copy until we get another shipment in.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of how I remember how it was.
I would say you just made me unlock a happy memory from when the Wii launched. The Wii U was the last. Actually, I take that back. When the Wii was launching, I was like, you know what? I'm big on trying new things. I'm gonna like maybe I'll start collecting for the Wii because I can't wait to see how they implement all the motion capture technology, or not motion capture, motion control
Yeah.
technology, blah blah. So and as I was getting my system pre-order, I had the system pre-ordered. I had an extra remote, extra nunchuck, classic controller, and I think I had like one of every game that wasn't an Imagine Babies game pre-ordered. So like Madden, Excite Bike, Zelda, etc. And when it was launch day, like we were getting ready to open the store for the midnight release and everything. Um, my boss, my manager looks at me and goes, "Hey, just give a heads up. Like we don't have that many walk-in consoles. Would you be willing to sacrifice yours for a walk-in customer? Then you can have on the next shipment." And under normal circumstances, I'd have been like, yeah, sure, why not? And I got caught up in the hype, and I said, open up my account right now, which is fully paid off, and let me know what you think. And
Oh
he
my
opened it
God.
up. He opened it up and saw what the dollar amount of already paid off was. And he goes, "You're getting your system. Don't worry."
That's hilarious. That reminds me in college, we were talking one because I had a management information systems degree, but one of my first business classes, my teacher was wonderful, but she was talking about her example with the Wii, where she said, we were talking about, supply and demand and all this stuff. And she said, yeah, I remember because I was a good mom, my kids wanted a Wii that year, and I went to GameStop. I heard they were getting some. I stood in line for hours in the cold. I was able to get in. I got the Wii. It was $250. As soon as I walked out of GameStop, a man came up to me and said, ma'am, I will pay you $500 for your Wii right now. And I thought about it and I said, no, because my kids wanted this and they're going to get it for Christmas and I'm a good mom. So I brought it home. We were like, oh yeah, that's great. And she's like, yeah, but I kind of regret not taking that money because like regular kids, they opened it up on Christmas. I was super mom and then they got bored of it after a week. And when I looked at that thing, I was like, getting the extra $250 would have been pretty good.
Yep. And then you don't close on yourself like I did in Madden. It's all good.
Oh, exactly. Out of the launch titles for the Wii, the one that surprised me because I was in a GameStop and I was like demoing it and stuff. It wasn't like Zelda or anything else. The one that surprised me that I really liked was the Tiger Woods game. It was.
Oh yeah,
it was.
It worked really well with the
fun.
motion controls.
Yeah, with the motion controls, it was so fun. And then I tried Excite Bike, and I was like, "This is just too much." But like actually, like quote unquote golfing on the Wii, I'm like, "This is pretty fun."
Oh, dude, Excite Truck and Zelda almost made me fail college.
Oh, really?
Like I 100%ed Excite Truck.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah. This is going back maybe like 10 minutes or so, but I was going to add on to the physical games topic, what was going on. No, the games that I do physically pick up now, because like I said, I don't buy all too many physical games. It's stuff that I really want, because it just being on a sale is not enough. Now I have to be like, okay, am I actually going to play this? Like, is it a good deal? Is this okay? But for me, I've only picked up the stuff on launch that I know I'm going to play for sure on launch. I've been waiting for, so kind of like what you say with the value of it. And a couple of those games this year were Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because I was like, I've been waiting so long. I was waiting so long for I was waiting for the remake for generations, before it was even Whisper, before it was a thing, much like other people. And then Rebirth definitely wanted that. And then the most recent one has been Astro Bot, because I was like, I've been waiting for this. It seems like I didn't even know the Concord stuff and the PS5 Pro and all that was going to happen. So that's a little more poetic in that regard. Where it's like, yeah, Sony kind of needs this here. They need the better press. But no, that was one of those games. I got it physically day one because I'm like, I've been waiting for this. I definitely know I'm going to play it. Even if it goes on sale next week, I'm not going to regret it.
Yeah, Astrobot's totally worth it. Oh my god.
I wrote that down. I wanted to talk to you about Astro Bot. What have your thoughts been on it so far?
Well, I haven't picked it up yet, but
Okay. Have you played Playroom?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
dude, like first of all, I maxed it out platinum it, but like,
Congrats.
I'm gonna say this from a 47-year-old's perspective.
Mm-hmm.
After owning a PlayStation 4 and a PlayStation 5 for however many years since the PS4 came out, it's so nice to see joy in a first-party PlayStation game again.
It's not just like dark and mature and adult.
Yeah, I don't care about zombies or the emotional impact of, and spoiler if you never played Last of Us, killing a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just want joy in my life. And Astro is like a Renaissance rebirth. And so help me God, if they don't take the success and the joy that Astrobot is bringing to people and start like going back to maybe, I don't know, Jumping Flash and like maybe a new Parappa somewhere in there. Like they need the joy. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was so amazing to watch.
Yeah.
And if the Astro Bot is even like half as goofy and fun and self-depreciating and like just a joy and simple to play,
Mm-hmm.
it'll probably do wonders. Like I have really high hopes for that series.
In short, people have been saying that Sony ended up making Mario not is it Super Mario Odyssey? No, not that one. But people have essentially said that Sony ended up making Super Mario Galaxy 3 because Nintendo didn't.
Nice, yeah. I've also heard them say it's like the next Mario World too.
Yeah, it's so good because it's like, so Playroom. I'll try not to spoil too much, but like Playroom, phenomenal tech demo that I feel like it was just like they said, hey, we need y'all to make a tech demo, and they just went wild with it. They went absolutely wild, and Sony's like, this is cool. Just keep doing that. That's good. So I will say with like the Astro Bot game, it has branched off more into its own identity and its own references. So I can appreciate that. So it's growing as an Astro Bot brand itself, but it still has heavy ties to the actual, like, the PlayStation library.
Yeah.
Not even referencing your site there, but like the library and all the references there that's going on and such. Like, even the story from the beginning is you are flying your spaceship, which is a PS5. The PS5 is flying in space. Then you end up crashing, and then you lose all the components, so you have to rebuild the PlayStation 5 in here.
It's the Metroid problem. Nice.
Yeah,
I like it.
There we go.
I can get behind it.
Yeah. No, it's phenomenal. One of probably my favorite moment in the new Astro Bot is there's same setup. There's a there's a gacha machine in there where you can get little extra Astro Bots and other skins and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But one of them you can get is a Resident Evil 2 reference, and so it's just like posted up like in your little area, and you can interact with them. And my girlfriend loves Resident Evil, so she was just like tickled by this, and then we screamed laughing at the reaction. But when you go up to it, it is Leon Kennedy from, then they're all Astro Bots because they all have like the cute little bots up, but it's Leon Kennedy. He is next to a statue or like a bust, and there's a zombie behind him. And the zombie's trying to creep up on him, and he just keeps like saying like shh, shh to the zombie, just like kind of like motioning for him to leave him alone. But if you end up hitting them, the bust ends up falling over, and both Leon and the zombie freak out, immediately work together to pick up the bust, put it back onto its stand, get angry at you, and then go back to doing what they were doing.
That's adorable.
Yeah, and exactly. It was the funniest but like most adorable thing I'd seen in there, and we did that like we just like hit it like a few times, and we're just busting out laughing at this reaction. Just like all the little details and love crafted into it were incredible.
That's what I like to see.
Yeah, yeah. So no, it's been phenomenal. I'm happy that you have a PS5. You've played Playroom on it, but you will get. I was thinking of you. I'm like, you would get an absolute kick, and it would be a joy for you to play Astro Bot.
Yeah, I think I'll probably pick that up later in life.
Okay.
It's a little bit cheaper, but yeah, I do want to play through that because I think double exposure is going to take up most of my time for the rest of the year.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
I will say this though, that like not just the in-game antics itself, but just how much love and joy is in Astro Bot.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that you could go back to Playroom and watch a countdown timer with all the little bots, and then they celebrate with everything, like that's what we need more of.
Yep.
Like just cross-reference. Like, can you imagine if they were like, oh yeah, we're doing Horizon 3, but if you go play Forbidden West, we'll throw in like a special DLC that will connect both
That'd be
games
cool.
and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's been great exposure for like other brands too, because there's a lot of characters and brands and franchises that are in Astro Bot that people are now seeing for some of the first time. But like even like one thing I saw was, for example, Sly Cooper. One person, he saw Sly Cooper references in there, he thought it was cool, and then he ended up looking up to see if the Sly Cooper games were available on PS5. I think there were PS2 versions that were available, so he ended up picking up a few of those and played them. But like boom, extra sale, extra exposure right there. So I really hope that Sony ends up taking advantage of this hype from these different franchises that are being covered in that. I think I was actually going to ask you in regards to Playroom, what was your reaction when you saw the final boss, or like when you did the final boss fight?
Oh, dude, it was just like you under thinking, okay, like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? Like, this could be anything. It was gonna be Kratos, it's gonna be this, and then it pops up, and I was just like, I love you guys so much.
And for anyone who doesn't know, a little bit of spoiler, this is the old one, the one that came out in 2020. Correct me if I'm wrong, but like when the original PlayStation was being demoed and everything, one of the examples of showing what the PS1 could do in terms of power was a giant like 3D rendered T-Rex that was walking around. And
yes, it was on the developer demo. So
yes.
Play it now, hear it later.
There we go. Then see, I was like, I know Jason's gonna know exactly where this is from. But in Astro's Playroom, when you play through that, the final boss is that same dinosaur from the PS1 version. And then as you get through the boss fight, the graphics on him evolve from the PS1 iteration up to the PS5 version.
Yeah, it was so well done.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was.
Like
that was one.
I can hear the music. I can hear the original demo disc music in my head right now as we're talking about it. Like, just, god damn, so good.
Yeah, I was freaking out when I first saw that. Like, I'm just like yelling about it, and like we were having, because my girlfriend and I played through all of it together, but we were having just a wonderful time playing through that first one. And then Astro Bot has been great, and like honestly, my only issue with Astro Bot, it's not even the game. I have no complaints about the game itself. Any complaints I would have are just my own skill set and my own skill level, where there's parts that frustrate me. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll just say, hey, get good. But like, I can't think of a bad thing to say about this so far.
Yeah, you'll always have that one difficulty spike in any game you play.
Of course. Yeah,
but he's cute, so he's forgiven.
That's true. Yeah, and even there's cute stuff in there too. Like, have you this came out on PS5, I want to say, but have you heard of Humanity?
I have not.
So it is again, girlfriend actually, she found out about this and she linked it to me, and then it's just like, what the hell? This was like already something I was kind of interested in when I saw it, but I'm like, it became even like more perfect. It is very similar to Lemmings, where you have to take all these entities and beings and like through a puzzle, you have to get them from one place to another successfully, and you pick up some other things along the way. except it is very much like guiding all of these beings who just keep walking to a point of light. So there's kind of some like emotional and almost spiritual aspect to it, but it's not like even like, oh, this is a religious game. Like, it's absolutely not that. It's completely like left up to you and open to interpretation. The only thing is, your character in there is a bright white, like completely like spiritually white or like ghostly white Shiba Inu that you can make bark and bark orders and go into different directions. And I bring this up because like not that many people have talked about it. I think it's a digital only release, but there is a reference to it in Astro Bot. Like, I was expecting the old stuff, but then at one point I end up picking up the Shiba Inu from there, and we both just scream because it's like, I feel like most people wouldn't even know about this, but just I love that the love and dedication, they even took something new that is exclusive on there, or at least known on the PS5 to some degree, and end up putting it into a mainline game as a reference.
I would say there had to be at least like one person whose only job was to track down every possible thing they could reference.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the only downside with that now with the references is that there's been several times I see things and I'm like, I think it's this, or I don't recognize this, or I'm not 100% sure. So I'm trying to be really good right now and just not look up any of these references until I finish the game.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, because I don't want to, spoil the other stuff.
I said, but it makes you explore, so it did its job.
Exactly. Yeah. And then even going back, and I've been replaying some of the levels, then I'm collecting extra stuff, and then the exploration and everything. It's an incredibly well done game. Like, everything about it's been phenomenal.
Excellent.
Yeah. I will ask you though, what games have you been currently playing?
PS5. I was playing Firewatch finally,
Ooh.
and then I glitched through a rock into the infinite abyss, and it turns out your manual saves and your auto saves are the same one file, so I was permanently stuck.
Oh no.
In the thing.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I'll restart that eventually, probably after double exposure. And then I was playing. I just finished Batman Arkham Asylum for like the 9th time because I bought that $5 pack because I was super lazy. And then I'm like 30% through Arkham City again, except I'm discovering that at my age, all my 40 years of gaming are catching up with me because my hand starts to lock up as I'm doing like the combos in like anything that's more than like 4 guys. I can't do anymore because of the way how badly my carpal tunnel is.
Gotcha.
So yeah, that aside into more good stuff. For a video I've been trying to record 3 different times because LOL technology is Tecmo Stackers. It's one of the games I featured as a comfort game about 2 or 3 videos back, and I finally got a chance to sit down to play it. And it's basically Puyo Puyo, but in trying to research what I thought was a programming glitch, and I still think it is a programming glitch, I downloaded the Japanese version and discovered that it is highly edited and highly changed from the original Japanese thing.
Oh.
So that changed. Yeah, so that changed the angle of the episode. So I need to go through it a couple more times and just confirm what I found. But it's a really it's a really interesting insight into how at the time the American audience was perceived. Like the Japanese version of Stackers, whose name I can't remember, something like Denodon or something like that. It has more. It's not an adult game, but it has adult characters. Like like they have like a guy who looks like he could be from that's the song. The Village People. He looks like he could be the
I'm looking at the cover,
adult.
like the Sega Saturn cover. I see what you mean.
Yeah, and then there's like clearly like a bondage girl who looks adorable and is not not adult as they could make her. When it came to America, they stripped out those 2 characters, the drunken Japanese businessman, the nurse character, and someone else, and then they just cloned the four other characters to replace them. So now there's like two mariachis, there's two cats, there's two robots, etc.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in the process of doing that, and this is where I'll save it for the video, but in the process of them doing that, I think someone screwed something up with the background graphics. And in realizing they couldn't fix their problem, they ended up editing all the other background graphics to match their mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like, and the whole reason I think this is why is because one of the images, like if you've ever spent time in Photoshop, they have these filters where like it looks more mosaic, it looks more watercolor, blah blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
In one of the background images, it doesn't look like it's one of the filters. It looks like it's corrupted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
yeah, and then that's where I was like, okay, well, it's wrong. And that's when I started playing the Japanese version, I realized not only is that image different and then all the other background images different, but the actual Tecmo logo is broken.
Oh.
In the arcade version and the Japanese one, it's its correct deep dark rich red. In the American version, it's this awkward like pinkish red color.
Mm-hmm.
And there were two prototypes that hidden was it hidden levels, hidden palace, hidden level, I think.
It might. Okay.
The one with the little circuit chip in the sand for their logo.
Mhm. Oh, I
They
think that's Hidden
uploaded to the
Palace.
It's hidden palace, yeah. They uploaded the two prototypes, and one prototype is like what's called the immediate version, which would have been like your actual here's your review copy while the retail game is being shipped out, and then one was like from a few months back. The one that's from a few months back, the logo is still the right color.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get to the prototype right before release, the logo is messed up. So it's like it's lending credence to my theory that there was I'll save the rest of it for the episode, but it's just this fun, like it was literally I'm gonna play a game to relax for once, and then 10 minutes and I was like, there's a problem, I need to research this, and then I was downloading prototypes and comparing color tables and all that other good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so that was basically what I've been playing, and then I think I think that was basically it. Like lately, I've been more of like not so much playing games, but like dabbling. Like I've been doing a lot of research for an announcement in October.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if I just take a break from that, I'll play like a round or two in Soul Calibur or like a level of Crash Bandicoot, and then I'll go back. So
Are you playing
aside
the
from
old
going,
ones, like the old of I guess Soul Calibur and Crash Bandicoot, or newer ones?
oh yeah, like well I shouldn't say Calibur, but like Soul Blade,
There
like
we
the
go.
actual PS1.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yeah, real games on either the real hardware or the Poly Mega if I'm too lazy to get up and swap a disc.
Right on.
Um, But yeah, like so it's basically just been more dabbling, more researching stuff like that.
Okay. I got you. No, that's cool. So always some games to play there. I did not know about Tecmo Stackers at all, so I just looked that up, and as you said, yeah, it's kind of close to Puyo Puyo. So with the corruption image you're talking about, I am really interested in seeing your video when it comes out.
Yeah, and as a funny aside, in trying to find review footage on old websites like IGN and so forth, there's a very interesting pattern that forms that I don't think they ever played the original Japanese one, because two or three different reviewers were like, "Yeah, it's like Puyo Puyo, but the way the blocks extend their arms out to join each other is kind of weird, and it makes me feel like uncomfortable." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And then I went back and played the Japanese one. I'm like, "Oh, that's where, yeah." Because if you have a bondage woman and a guy in a diaper, there's a reason the pieces are acting sexual.
Yeah, yeah. They were just a little more. Well, I'm sure
Yeah,
they had fun getting stuff like that into commercial releases.
yeah, like it's ridiculous. Like it was like like I could see that in Japan them being like, "Oh, this will be for like adults coming home from work and take a break, have a laugh at the few of the characters and their reactions to you attacking them." And then it came to America and they're like, "We're gonna make this a children's game."
Yeah, yeah. That's how it goes sometimes. And I feel like something you would not see as much in current generation, since you said like this is well, we went from like completely separate builds. Now everybody's gonna get the weird build.
Yeah, I think we're at the point now where the only real, like unless there's like some random bizarre choice of censorship, like I think it was like a single outfit in, is it Infinity Blade? The one with the hot Japanese girl going around the
Are you talking
robot.
about the one where it was like super super revealing?
No, no, that's obvious. That was in both, but like it was like one of the other outfits. Like for no reason, it just got rid of like the cleavage or something.
I got you.
Like it was just that one outfit out of like 40, and all these American side fanboys were just like, "This is bull." Like, guys, relax. She's practically naked on the other one. Just wear that one.
Yep.
You're fine.
So it's funny. One of my best friends. She played games growing up, but she's not necessarily into video games. So she still has this like kind of old school memory of them, of like, like Mario Party, or like the main system she played was the PSP growing up, and she was playing like racing games on
Oh,
there. So
go you
what'd you say?
or go her. I said go her. That's
Oh,
a heck of a system to choose. Yeah.
oh yeah. Well, I mean, if you, I guess, yeah, because I no, you wouldn't have been there at the time. I was in school at the time it came out, but back then there were a lot of people who, at least I'm saying anecdotally, there was a lot of people who had PSPs who weren't really into gaming, but they got them because they were about the same price as an iPod or a good MP3 player, but they did so much more. You could put all your music on there and more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Plus it was hack day one, so
Of course, but
it's all good.
but I was like the only person who was hacking up my PSP. And then I hacked up other PSPs. But all these people, they're running stock, and they didn't have screen protectors on them. They didn't have cases, none of that stuff. So, no, there was that, and it was funny because when shortly after, was it? Are you talking about, was it Infinity Blade or was it Stellar Blade? I think that's what it's called, right?
Stellar Blade, there you go.
Stellar Blade, yeah. So, I personally played the demo. I thought it was cool, but it just wasn't really my type of game, so I didn't pick it up.
Same.
Yeah, but I can appreciate it at least. And there was one video I saw on Twitter where it was like kind of joking about like, oh my god, people say the graphics look so good on this, and it was just very much. It was the main character, I think her name is Eve. She was like going around attacking, shooting, all that stuff, and she was wearing the super revealing outfit. And of course, like in this video, they were very much going and playing along with the angles and all that stuff.
Yeah, I was say, yeah, it's the I'm playing this for the plot, and then the plot is just the butt shots. Yeah,
Exactly. But I remember I showed my friend this, and she was like, "Oh, okay, sure, I'll look it up. I'll look into it." And then she watched the video, and she was just quiet, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm a." Wow, there's a lot going on there. I'm not used to my games looking like, well, real like that.
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, so it was good to see her reaction on that, but yeah, no, I've at least on my side here, out of the stuff I've been playing, I'm still been doing my thing I tell people. I've still been doing my Ring Fit Monday through Friday for the most part.
Dude, I am so jealous. I can't do it because I'm in a condo. Because like I don't want to piss off my neighbors.
Oh.
But like I am so jealous of people like you that are going through that because I think I would gamify that even more and I'd be in like tip top shape.
Dude, well, okay, well, first of all, wait, is it that you have like neighbors underneath you?
Yeah, I'm on the
Okay.
second floor.
Okay, well, I mean, hey, what you could do is you could just not care and still do it.
Seeing as how I had an HOA letter sent to me
You did?
during COVID. Yeah, I had an HOA letter sent to me during COVID. One of the reasons was because I was laughing too loud at all hours of the day.
Are you serious?
I'm deadly
They
serious. And I was like,
they
"All
got
right,
mad
that's
at you
cool."
for being happy?
Yeah, yeah. I almost sarcastically replied that. Like, I'm sorry that my joy in life has ruined your, work at home thing, but it's all good.
See,
So
maybe this is just my level of like not caring as much or something. I would do my workouts even if I was in that same setup, but just keep it like during business hours or something. And then if I end up getting a complaint, it's like, well, one, I'm doing it at like 1 p.m. Like there's not, it's, if I was doing it at 1 a.m., I would see the issue, but it's at 1 p.m. Two, it's in my own apartment. Three, I'm not being obnoxious. I'm just exercising. You got to run in place. You got to jump on. I'm trying to be healthy, mind you.
yeah, that's where that's when they're just go outside.
Yeah. Well, you know
Or
what?
to
The
a
nice thing
gym.
is with the Switch, you can bring the Switch outside with you.
This is true.
Yeah, yeah. So no, dude, I would definitely recommend pursuing Ring Fit just because it's worked really well, at least like for me. It's been fun, and even like, dude, I take it with me. Like, was it whenever I visit family? Typically, well, they have a Ring Fit set up there, so I just borrow theirs. But I recently went on a work trip, and I bring my Switch, but I also brought the Ring Con and the strap with me. And in the morning, I would just, do my Ring Fit real quick. Even when I was working in office, whenever I had to, I would usually take a break or like my lunch hour, and I would just find a empty room, and I had my Switch. I didn't hook it up to a TV. I just had it in portable mode, but I would just do the same thing there. So I'm like, at least it's not I tell people it is not the best exercise. Because I'm one of those people. I believe like the best exercise, it depends on who you are and such. Because you could say, oh, this is the best thing that you can do. It's like, yeah, but will you actually do it? Versus like if you tell someone to walk 30 minutes a day, if they actually commit to walking 30 minutes a day, that's better than like the best thing that they can do that they're not going to be motivated to do, and they'll do it once a month.
Yeah.
Yeah. So screw the HOA, do it. No, I've been playing that, and then the only other game I've really been playing recently has been Astro Bot, of course. I did
Nice.
like I said, I did, and I gave like a good amount of like love on there, and then I did pick up that game Amio, I was mentioning, but I haven't played it because I do want to jump into it, but also there's a part of me that wants to play the other like Famicom Detective Club games, so I'm not sure what I'll do on that necessarily, but we'll just see how it goes. But I did pick it up at least, so there's some progress there.
Oh, speaking of, you said detective.
Yes.
I actually have been playing the Dark Side Detective.
Oh my goodness,
dude,
that game is such a treat.
Dude, I finished the first one. I'll be on the fourth mission in the Stumble in the Dark sequel.
Okay.
That for those that have never played it, it's basically a throwback to like Sierra and LucasArts point and click games.
Yep.
But you're basically the cop equivalent of a Ghostbuster.
Okay.
And you just have this stumbling cop guy with you, and you have to point and click your way to try and figure out like how these hauntings are happening. And it's all the creative like use this broom and this cloth and this piece of flint you found to make a torch and things like that. The humor and the in-jokes are so good, and just like Astro Bot, they're all over the place. The one mission I did the other day, you end up opening a bottle of wine and you need the metal cap for something, and if you click on it in your inventory, the cop goes, "Oh man, a couple more of these, we can get ourselves a power armor suit." I was like, "Oh yes!" That's highly recommended.
I played it a few years ago. I ended up picking it up on Switch, and I don't think I played all of it because I think there's like some new content and stuff that came out, but I played everything that was out at that point. It was a joy of a game. I think I played that game after another game that, pardon me, I'm actually replaying this right now, and I kind of just randomly picked it back up because, like, on the plane and between other places, I was like, let me play something that like I'm familiar with. It's a bit of a puzzle, but I can also kind of like zone out to it, so it's a little bit of a time waster, but it's enjoyable, and I can just like listen to music and play this. Have you heard of Murder by Numbers?
I have not.
Okay. I would recommend at least looking into that after you finish Darkside Detective. They play differently, but there is that point and click adventure type thing. The humor is on point, in my opinion. Like, I love it. I personally love the art style. And the thing is with the puzzles, it's more of like a numbers game literally, and more almost like Sudoku based, but if you're afraid of Sudoku, it's not like that at all, and there's plenty of handicaps in there, so you could even be dumb like me when it comes to puzzle games and you can get through it with no issue. But it's been enjoyable, and it's one of those games I played it a few years ago based on a friend's recommendation, and it never really exited memory, so I've gone through and I've played it a few times.
Cool. I will have to check that out. I love games like that.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's great. The characters are great. Actually, my since we're talking on here on Discord, my little character like avatar you could see, that is Scout, the little like computer companion from that game. So he's
I was literally going to ask you that.
Yep, that is Scout, and he literally says that. He's like, "And I am Scout." He always says that when he meets people. So no, that one's really, really good. I've very much enjoyed that.
Yeah, I will look that up. I'm actually looking at it on Steam right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's so cute.
I know, right? Yeah, and again, the art style is just, I love it. I love pretty much everything about it.
Yeah, I will definitely check this out. Holy cow.
There we go. Yeah. There was a other game. I'm not playing this one, but I know you'd mentioned this. Firewatch. That was it because you were saying you're kind of glitched on there, right?
Yeah, I gotta restart it. You know what's funny? Have you played it or
I
no?
have. I've played it several times. I love it. I tell people I'm like it is one of those that. And have you ever played Gone Home?
Yes, on the Switch, I think.
Okay, that so
Yeah.
very similar to that. It's one of those games I tell people play it in one sitting if possible. It is possible because it's short enough and go in blind. Don't look up anything, don't look at reviews, nothing. Just go in blind, play it start to finish.
Oh, definitely. All I remember was the trailer for it at one of the E3 shows. I'm like, oh, I'll eventually check that out, blah, blah, blah. And it was finally on sale on PSN. I'm like, oh, cool, download it. And within the first 5 minutes of the game, I was like, oh, this is not the game I thought it was gonna be.
Right.
Okay, let's. Is there gonna be any joy in it? But no, I like before I glitched out of it, like I really, really like it. Like it's like what's funny is I have no sense of direction. Like you can give me a map and a GPS and I'm still lost.
Yeah.
So as soon as I realized I have to like actually look at the map in the game with the compass, I was like, oh no.
Oh no. But you got it at least.
Yeah, but yeah.
Until you broke the game, which is impressive actually, because like I
Oh,
played through
dude.
it several times and I'm like, it's been pretty technically sound for the most part. But I also know you told me that you are kind of that guy who will break things, so you're kind of like the QA person that people need.
Dude, I am Sam Grant in Jurassic Park 1. Like if I come near something, it will break. It try like I was literally using the microphone before we went live, and then you're like, "Hey, let's start recording," and then my microphone didn't work anymore,
Yep.
and now I'm on a different computer
Yep.
in a different room. It's just like God, just me and technology. Just apparently, I'm only allowed to play Happy Happy on consoles. As soon as I try and do something on a computer, it's like, nope, no, no, sorry.
That's how it goes sometimes. That was
I need.
funny enough. That was me whenever I would visit my parents' house. That was me with the dryer. I've been able to do my own like clothing, like washing ever since I was a kid. Like I was like single digits and I knew how to do it. So I knew how to use a washer and a dryer. But for whatever reason, this dryer at my parents' place, there was something off with it. And you could put your clothes in and every time I used it, I even had my parents double check the settings for me. And they're like, everything looks good. The thing would just keep running. So, you run your clothes for an hour and they stop. And then I would, be on my computer something and it's like 3 hours later. I'm like, wait, what? Oh my God, my clothes are still drying. What the hell? And that kept happening. So it got to the point I'm just like, guys, parents, I know I'm a grown adult. I'm going to have you guys do my laundry. There's not that much, but every single time I touch this dryer, it acts up. And now the opposite has happened where they replace the dryer and it's fine. But the washing machine has an issue where it's like, you have to go through the initial stages, set it up, and then when you press start, it will lock and unlock. And sometimes you have to press start like 20 times before it locks and continues. For whatever reason, it gives them so much grief, but when I use it, it works fine every single time.
That's a gremlin.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know what's going on there, aside from Gremlin, like you said, but I was thinking on this with, it reminded me of a different game when you told me about your, I guess, Firewatch out of bounds exploit there. Um, One of my friends, and I think I've told this story before, but just for his sake, I won't bring up the name or anything because he's felt bad about it. And sometimes he's like, "Man, you still bring this up." I'm like, "Yeah," because it was kind of a gamer cardinal sin here. Back when I was in college, I had my PS4, and before he had his, he wanted to try mine out. And he's into game development, so he will quite literally play and look at games differently than I look at them. But he picked up my controller, and the first thing I do, I'm like, "Hey dude, can you make a new account?" And he's like, "No, I'll just sign into yours." I'm like, "No, make a new account, please." He's like, "No, no, it's fine, I'll just sign into yours." He signs in, he opens up Infamous First Light, and because that was the game I was playing at the time. And then I'm like, okay, I would really rather you make another account. And he's like, no, no, it's okay. I'm not gonna save or anything. Then he ends up loading up I don't think he loaded up my save. I think he started a new one because he read the text and he claims that the text pretty much alluded that it would be a separate save file. So he starts a new game, doesn't do any of the missions, just messes around the city for like 30 minutes, just doing whatever he wants to. Then he's like, okay, cool, I'm done with this. Puts the PS4 into rest mode, which I never ever do. So then when I went to play the game a few hours later, I noticed that the autosave, there's only one autosave, and it was overwritten. He then did a manual save, which overwrote my manual save. Then I went to look for the backup, which was on the cloud because I had PlayStation Plus. And because he put it in rest mode, which I never do, it automatically synced up his saves to my account and wiped out my progress.
Oh.
And I'm just like,
no.
Dude, I still bring this story up because I'm like, man, first of all, you didn't listen to me to begin with, but secondly, I had saves in 3 different spots and you wiped all of them.
That's some bad luck.
Yeah. He felt bad. I remember I told him, and he was like, "If you want, I can like play up to your point again." I'm like, "No, dude, it's fine. I was only like 3 hours into the game, but still, just like, next time you use my hardware, if I ask you to do something, can you just do it, please?"
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, and also that was a good example right there of like how everybody uses things differently. Because like I said, I'm very much when it comes to the PS5 have actually been lackadaisical on, but prior to that, it was either the PlayStation is on or off. I never did rest mode.
I think if I just need to charge the controller, or like I'm going to be away for like a half an hour, I'll put in rest mode. But otherwise, I turn it off too.
That's fair. Yeah, I went a little bit bougie about it, and also because I got multiple controllers. Not only because of the controllers, like having multiple people play, but it's more just especially PS4 and PS5. The battery life is so weak on there that I don't want to just have one controller. I'd rather have one on the side charged up, and then when mine dies, I'll just swap them out. But for both PS4 and PS5, I end up buying separate charging stations. So I don't even have to rely on the PS5 to charge. I just slot my controller in and it charges. Yeah. But again, that's me.
Yeah. I had those for the Wii and the PS3.
Oh, they're
and
nice,
then I always
aren't they?
left them on. Yeah, there. I think they're something either I always forgot to plug it back in, or like the little brass contacts would lose connectivity to each other.
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the PS3 I haven't had really to do it as much with, not only because the battery life was so much better on there, but also I use it infrequently enough where I'm like, oh, okay, I'll just charge my one controller here. That's fine. I just miss that old battery life, man.
I miss when you could actually I as much as people didn't care for it, I do like how Microsoft always had the like you can use AA's or throw in a chargeable battery pack. So like in case of emergency, you just throw in the batteries. I miss those days.
I absolutely agree with you on that. Yeah, the only issue is now, because I still mess around with the 360. Unfortunately, with the 360, the battery pack, like the little battery casing itself that you can put your AA's into, the third-party ones are all just crap. And it's harder and harder to find the original first-party ones, but these third-party ones, and you can say, like, you could buy them online, and if they're brand new, they say OEM, and they're clones, because they have, like, the same stickers and stuff, but you can tell they're different, but they're just not great, and it's like you always have to add extra pressure for them to connect, and they're always disconnecting, like, the battery itself from the controller, and that's something we need. We need like brand new 360 battery packs, not rechargeable ones, just like standard ones that are actually good.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. One of my friends, shout out to Boom Hour, he was complaining about this because he ran into it recently where he said he went out of his way, he paid extra money. He paid like 15 or 20 bucks for one of those like battery casings, battery packs for the 360 because I believe it was advertised as brand new and OEM, and then he got it and it was one of the cheapy ones. And he's just like, dude, I'm upset because it's like I paid the extra money for this. I waited extra time. If they were just going to send me a cheap third-party one, I would have just spent $2 on one.
Jeez.
Yeah. So.
Curse you bootlegs.
Yeah. Well, everyone's going to have a bootleg for something, I suppose.
That's true.
Yeah. Anyways, dude, Jason, it's been a blast having you on. Have loved talking to you again here. And usually, what I do at the end is I pick a keyword or a key phrase that people can use in a comment on the video upload. So if they get all the way to the end of this almost 2 hours episode, they'll know that, we will know at least they made it to the end. However, since you're the guest, I am going to pass it on to you. So, what keyword or key phrase should people use in comments?
Mm. Do I want it to be a word that's been mentioned earlier in the video? No. Let's say the word is Pizza Hut.
Oh, okay.
That's 2 words.
All right.
But yeah, Pizza Hut.
All right. So, usually I try to explain that a little bit, but for this here, I'll actually ask you, what's your ideal or favorite Pizza Hut memory?
You know what? I could make a PlayStation reference here, but like to be honest, just when I was wee young, and that's wee as in young, like lots of years ago, not a tiny wee.
Yeah, or yes, for all of our French listeners.
Yeah, I actually had a birthday party at a Pizza Hut back when it was like the red glasses, the hot pepper Parmesan shakers, like all the chandeliers and everything. And to give you an idea of how young I was, I got the second iteration of Storm Shadow and the SWAT member Shockwave from the G.I. Joe original toy line.
Okay.
And all I remember is just, to answer your question, I am a meat lover. So pepperoni, sausage, green peppers, supreme, you name it, it's on there. And I just always remember walking to the car with both of those figures and thought they were the coolest looking things ever.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
And then playing the Pengo cocktail table in the hallway of the one we went to all the time.
I don't the one that I went to. I don't remember what arcade games it had, but I know it had a few at least. And then I know you're saying PlayStation reference, of course. The PS, like the 1 and 2, the demo discs for the PS1.
That is literally what I'm looking at right now. It was on my desk, and I'm thinking that's gonna be the word.
Yeah, but the thing is, those were like the best demo discs.
They were.
Yeah.
I mean, they came with food. Like how?
Exactly. Yeah, because to get them, you had to pay for the food.
Yes.
Yeah. No, that was cool. It took me, and for whatever reason, I don't know if you've run into this. For whatever reason, it was easier to find the first demo disc as opposed to the second one. I noticed a lot more people had the first one, the green one, I want to say, but like hardly anyone had the blue one. I had to actually like track down the blue one.
Oh, interesting. I wonder, because I don't know if, because they made a ton of these. I'm wondering if in the middle of production, I wonder if the winning piece was found. They're like, all right, you can hold back. Like, it's over.
Yeah, because wasn't it like, I believe it was the inner ring, like when you heated up the disc, that would reveal if you won or not, right?
No, on the rings, they're all marked. You didn't win, try again, etc. I think I've actually been trying to research this for 20 years.
Okay.
I think the actual winning piece, it would have either been the silk screen on the disc, which would have been really interesting, or maybe a sticker at least to cover up the do not, you lost silk screen, or it might have been an insert saying, hey, you won, etc.
Got it. But you
and
you yourself, you've never seen a winning disc, have you?
there was only the one. About 10 years ago, I tracked down the winner on social media, and I contacted them asking, hey, blah, blah. And they never got back to me because I'm sure I sounded like a stalker at that point. And then literally twice a year, every year for 10 years, I have been reaching out to Pizza Hut themselves, be it corporate, be it customer service, etc., referencing the actual, I have the actual news articles of them announcing the winners and so forth, and I can't get anyone to talk to me. It got so bad we realized that Reggie Fils-Aimé was at Pizza Hut, but I think he was a year shy of being at that point. And it was I almost reached out to him and be like, hey, did you have any part of this planning? So, but yeah, it was chaos. One day I will figure out, just because, not just finally having closure for that mystery, but if it really was a sticker or printing on the disc, it would literally be the rarest demo disc ever, because it would be a one of.
That would make sense.
Yeah. So it's just like I might try reaching out to the winner again, but my problem is I can't remember their name, and in trying to Google it, I guess a lot of the news reports and articles about it have been like deleted or permanently archived.
Yes.
So that might be a rainy day project. Not today, even though it's raining. But that might be a rainy day project to try and reach out and be like, "Hey, I'm not a stalker. Just want to get answer some questions. That's all."
Well,
So
I mean, it's impressive you're able to trek through that and find that. And I mean, the funny thing is that's the way to do it as well too. Because I know like Pat the NES Punk, I want to say for one of his cartridges, I think it was the gold NES cartridge. He ended up finding a old article that had the list like the 26 kids who ended up winning that cartridge, and he was able to contact one of them, and that's how he ended up getting his.
nice.
Yeah, yeah. He can probably tell. He can probably retell the story. I know he's told it, so I might be butchering it, but I know he somehow got in contact with them, and then literally because it was, I mean, so expensive and such, they literally like he flew on a plane to meet this guy. Like he flew out to meet this guy, saw the cartridge, did the exchange, had lunch with him, flew back home.
I'm not surprised. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost no different than how people were using the list of winners to try and track down their own copy of the Assassin's Creed. God, Jesus, the Elemental Gearbolt Assassin's case, because they had
Oh.
published all the winners in the various magazines and on Working Design's own website. They published all the normal people and then all the industry people.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah. No, that's
stalking.
stalking is sometimes you'll need to do it for journalism and research purposes. We're not going to promote that here, at least, but I'm
No,
just
yeah,
joking
no.
on that.
Yeah,
But
it's not stalking. It's just quietly, please answer me. I just need a question or two answered,
exactly, exactly.
and
Yeah,
then you'll never hear from me again.
as long as long as you come across like respectful and all that stuff, I don't see an issue with that.
That's true.
Yeah, yeah. If it's for that specifically, yeah. So video games there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, people talk about Pizza Hut, share your Pizza Hut memories. Do you know, dude, I'll be honest, in present day, I don't know if it was always like this. Pizza Hut is just way too oily for me, at least.
It can be. It's nowhere near as bad as how Papa John's was. Papa John's was a swimming pool. Like it was just awful.
Uh,
But my pizza's not too bad.
I never ran into that with Papa John's, thankfully. But
Oh yeah, the ones here, like you'll open the thing and like you can you can really pour out the grease sometimes. But,
see,
like we haven't had it in years, but it was
see,
bad back then.
the issue we had with that was Sbarro. Like, typically you go into the mall, Sbarro is there, and it's like, well, just to get this, like you have to take like one, maybe like five of the napkins and just place them over your pizza and let that soak up.
I said I used to have that for lunch almost every day when I was at Chicago Ridge Mall. I know exactly what you're talking about.
I am so sorry, but I know that was in your more youthful time, so your body was able to do that.
Sad but true.
Hey, that's how it goes. Anyways, dude, again, it's been awesome talking with you here. It's been a blast.
It's always awesome talking to you.
No, well,
Good
thank you.
topics, good fun.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah. Anyways, is there if people want to reach out, hear more, see more, can they find you online?
If you want to hit up the website, if you're into PlayStation 1 games and all things variants, it's PlayStationLibrary.com. You can find me on YouTube at GameRaveTV, all one word. I am on the socials under GameRaveTV, so like Twitter and Facebook. I'm also on Spoutable and Blue Sky. I'm just now starting to post to those two. So it'd be better off on Twitter or Facebook.
It's
But yeah.
tiring having all the Twitter clones, man.
Dude, I need at least two of them to die, and then we can just go back to whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I honestly, I think the only like viable Twitter clone we'll find is whenever Twitter actually like implodes and dies off. At that point,
Yeah.
then we can make the decision.
I say at this point, I'm willing to go back to LiveJournal.
Yeah, or I wasn't on LiveJournal, but give me Zynga and I'll be happy.
Ooh, there's one I haven't heard in
Yeah.
a long time.
I
Nice
ac-
reference.
I actually, thank you. I actually liked blogging. So when we moved on from Zynga to MySpace, I was like, this kind of sucks. Yeah. Anyways, dude, again, thank you for coming on. It's been a blast here.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, of course. And to everyone else listening and watching, thank you very much for coming out and hopefully enjoying this episode. And if you did enjoy it, a like would absolutely be appreciated. If you didn't like it, a dislike is fine as well, too. As I always say, though, this Mr. Mario, signing off. Thank you all for listening and watching, everyone. And until next month.
Laters.